Lights, camera, action. Hey everybody, I know this is a video that you guys are probably anticipating me reporting that my bee population has been booming. I've done 3 splits and I'm swarming in so much bees. I have so much hives I don't know what to do with. Well, unfortunately, that is not true. It is March 1st, the first day of March, and I'm going to report to you that unfortunately my colony didn't make it. Last weekend, decided to go ahead and go through. Went through the boxes to see what was going on. I only had about 8 bees in that hive, and I got to looking at it, and I did some research. I did some checking of all the brood, and I think I had a couple things going on there. I had issues with mites early in the year, and I think I may have had some virus issues from the mites. Even though I was able to keep the mites under control, it's just like going to school. When you go to school, or your kid goes to school, has pink eye, touches his eye, touches the desk, goes home, gets on antibiotics, he's fine. And then the next kid goes over, touches the same thing that the other kid touches his eye, and now he's got it. It just passes on and on and on and on. With bees and viruses, the bees are feeding each other. They're eating honey that has been fed. Everything that they do is by mouth. They're feeding the queen. So all these viruses could be passing, and that's where you get to get viral resistance. And when they're talking about mite resistance, they're not talking about bees being resistant against mites. They're more talking about genetically they're able to take care of themselves from the viral aspect. Their immune system may be a little more developed, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I did open some caps, and I noticed I pulled out some larvae or some old pupae, and I did notice some deformed wings. So that'd be an indication of deformed wing virus. Also have examining some of the caps and opened up had some bald brood or open brood. Also think maybe I had some parasitic mite syndrome also going on. Well, long story short, mites have been an issue. I've been trying to keep them under control, and it's sometimes just hard. That goes to the next thing that caused this colony to fail. I didn't have a massive dead out. I noticed around the hive there were some dead bees, but nowhere near enough to where it was all the bees died all at once. Sick bees probably flew off and died, and just here and there. But I sent pictures to my mentor, and he called me up and says, "You got slime. You have a small hive. You lost your resources to a small hive beetle." And that does make sense, because when I opened that hive, the fermented smell of the honey was strong. I honestly wouldn't have spun that honey out and had it for my consumption for sure, or wouldn't have sold it. It was a full 10 frame deep box, filled top to bottom, side to side with honey, and every bit of it was slimed. It was gone. I went through and I looked, and I can see a little strings of webbing like spider web, and one little larvae tunneling through the comb. And that's what they do. They get under the cap, and they'll tunnel through that comb, and they'll eat that honey. And as they're doing that, they'll defecate in the honey, which causes the fermentation process. And once that happens, the enzymes in that honey are there, and once the bees smell that, they determine that honey is diseased and will not eat it. No matter what you do, they will not eat it. So what happened is, once they determined that their stores were diseased, they absconded. They left for the hills. Unfortunately, I think they did it. It was probably last month. It was probably a couple months ago. They probably absconded, and that's why my numbers started continuously going down. They didn't have the resources to make a new queen, and therefore, that was the death of that colony, which they wouldn't have survived anyways, due to the fact that the honey was fermented because they just won't touch it. So I went out and I uncapped all the honey and I hosed it out, and then I got right now all the frames are in freezers. You're supposed to freeze them for up to 48 hours. I decided that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let them freeze for the week, maybe even more. And then I'm going to go back, uncap what honey strings weren't, or honeycombs that weren't, and try to rinse that out. I'm going to try to get rid of any enzymes that I can and rinse it off the best I can, because I want to be able to reuse that comb. If they got that enzymes in it, they won't touch it. So that's where we stand with that. I'm not giving up. I am going to try again with another colony, and hoping maybe I can go into winter this year with 2. I'm still making plans with that. I've purchased a couple products to see if I can help with this small hive beetle control, because they're just bad where we live. I'm looking to install guardian bee entrances, which is heavily endorsed by YouTuber beekeepers such as Barnyard Bees, JC's Bees, and several other really big several other smaller YouTubers as well. And I've seen them at good reviews, so I'm going to try them, because I've had 4 hive beetle traps per brood box, so that was 8 beetle traps in that hive, and I still had issues with the things. I mean, it was so bad. I was able to look in the glass. It was cold then too. It was like 32 degrees outside, so I wouldn't even open up that box. As I was tempted to open up that box and squish them, but I knew it was cold. I shouldn't do that. But honestly, I think the honey was diseased before then. But anyways, the hive beetles were crawling in and out of comb. I could see them through the glass, and I even saw 2 of them mating. I knew I was in trouble when I saw that, because with that, once they get mated up, fertile, and start laying eggs, you can have a mess over your head. Because a female hive beetle's ovipositor it's a lot more. It's perfectly designed for laying eggs in nooks and crannies, anything they can do. So the bees will chase them in. They'll hide them somewhere. Or they'll hide somewhere, and then they can lay their eggs in their nooks and their crannies and of the hive, and just look for any opening where that they can get into. So, anyways, one thing with this channel, I am going to start looking into better quality. Unfortunately, I've been so busy, I haven't been able to sit down and do edits. I've had camera issues, so the past few videos I've been doing, as you can tell because I don't have my intro going, I've been having to do it on my phone. And it's just been a little bit more convenient in that way. But I'm hoping maybe I can start doing better. I would have liked to have documented by video on how I cleaned everything up and what I was doing, how I determined it failed. But I had camera issues, SD card got corrupted, and I wasn't able to get the video going, and I had to get that under control, or I was going to have a massive mess on my hands. Because the fact that I've seen 12 tiny little worms, little small hive beetle larvae. If I let that go any longer, it would have been slimy, it would have been sticky, it would have been stinky, and it would have been just a horrible mess to get cleaned up. And it wasn't that fun anyways. So anyways, that's pretty much all I got. Sorry I'm not able to report that I'm overwhelmed with beekeeping. I got so much bees that I don't know what to do with myself. But that, unfortunately, is just not the case. But it happens. It happens with new beekeepers. It happens with old beekeepers. People that have been doing it for several years. And we just got things we got to deal with. And the bees are different. And each colony is different in their own ways. They behave differently. They got different genetics. It's just stuff that you got to deal with. That's why they say if you want 2 hives, you need 4. If you want 4 hives, you need 8. That way, your bees are in numbers. You can use those resources to equalize a weak hive, so on, just so on and so forth. Well, that is it. I will be making more videos, especially as we start getting into the new colony, getting them situated, and we'll see how they'll go. So, unfortunately, this last season was a fail for me, but that's what this is all about. It's trying to succeed, and also reporting my failures as well, because hopefully maybe someone can learn from what I did. Uh, as everybody knows, my hive is not neglected. I go down to my hive every single day. So I mean, they had resources. It's just what happened. They got sick. The population got down. They weren't able to defend the entrance. Beetles got in, had a party, and left the place a mess. That's all I can say about that. So, thank you for watching, and we'll try it again. We're gonna go in strong. So, take care.